Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 460 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm Kyle Brackey, Daniel Roy Lobdell Jr., third, the second. To my left, Ben Askren with a new look in his studio is with us on the call.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I changed my studio around a little bit. You guys can't see the room, but I always felt confined in the old room, and I feel like this is a little better. The only problem is right above my head, there's this window, and I didn't realize it would be in frame. So I need to. You can't really see it that much right now, but I do need to figure out something with that.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see what happens next show. Before we get started, I do want to mention. Oh yeah, there you go. No, you're good. I do want to mention. Obviously, Christian hasn't been with us. I talked to him last night, but he had a friend from Virginia suddenly pass away. So he's back in Virginia to be with friends and family. So if you could just keep him and his friend's family in your thoughts and prayers. But he wanted to let everybody know where he was. So not to bring the mood down at all, but just wanted to get that out there, and we can get talking wrestling now.
Yeah, we love you, CP. We miss you, and we hope you're doing okay, bud. We're thinking about you.
All right, Ben, where do you want to start?
Well, here's what I got a question. We got something in Wisconsin called Team Sectionals tonight, and I want to get your guys' hot takes on it, see what you feel. I don't know if you guys are going to love it or if you're going to, like, really hate it. I think it's going to be one of the two. So here's what we do in Wisconsin to determine the Team State champion. You guys ready for this?
Hit me.
We have the regionals. Okay, at the regionals, the team score is kept. The winner of one regional team score faces another one in a dual meet. Okay? This determines 8 team sectional champions, and then they go to a dual meet championship in the week after the individual high school state. Hate it or love it?
Disagree.
Disagree.
Hate it. He hates it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
Here's my thing. If you're going to do a dual meet championship of any kind, a state, national, whatever, it has to involve dual meets. So, quick and dirty, in Maryland, there's a point system. You get 8 points for every win. There's 14 duels. You divide your total number of points by 14. Whoever has the highest average points, again, everybody's the same number of duels. Top 4 teams from each region wrestle, and then the 4 winners wrestle at a neutral. The 1 seed gets the home field. So 4A North, 4A East, 4A West, 4A South. You get the top seed hosts. Then the 4 winners from there wrestle. So each region winner, semifinals, and again, same thing, point system, semifinals, winner, neutral field.
So Nomad, does the 8 points means whether it's a pin or decision or whatever, it's 8 points?
I'm saying a dual win for a team is worth 8 points. So the maximum. So if you score 112 points during the year, it means you went 14-0.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the 14 weights and the 14 duels, that confused me. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's determined by the duels as opposed to, and then they have like the individual, the traditional, so to speak, regional and state tournament.
Nice. I saw there was some more talk on the dual nationals. I think both you guys are against it. Debbie Yao tweeted about it this weekend after Pat Pop and NC State beat Virginia Tech. The need for the dual national title, and I'm sure you guys hate that, right?
I don't know.
What are you talking about? I love it.
Yeah,
I'm like
with
the
you.
most on board with it.
Oh, I thought you were team anti-duels, Nomad.
I'm not team
super pro
anti-duels.
duels.
I want them to be separate. I know, like, Spey wants them to. He wants to have this combination of the duel and the tournament, and it just is so confusing, and I don't think is a good idea.
It's gross.
I would think it'd be awesome if we had 2 different national championships, and it kind of got started because Hayden Hidlay was talking about it. Mm-hmm. He was like, we've won 3 straight top 10 duels 3 weeks in a row. We'd love to challenge ourselves against the best from the Big Ten, and there's got to be a way to do it. It'd be awesome to get to see NC State wrestle Iowa.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome too. And there's just so much. I feel like there's so much momentum behind duels. Again, every duel you watch, I watched a whole bunch of them this weekend. They're all sold out. Bryce Jordan Center sold out. Carver Hawkeye sold out, packed. NC State, Virginia Tech, that place was packed. I mean, there's so much momentum behind duels right now. And again, I would never want to take away from the individual national tournament, but I think you can obviously do both. And hopefully that's what Debbie Yao is pointing at.
Yeah.
I came up with kind of like an option on the Monday FRL yesterday, and we don't need to dive into it too deep, but kind of just like a yes or no from both of you guys, where you shorten the number of duels. So I think it's like 14 now, shorten it to maybe 11 or 12, and then that way you have an extra 2 weekends to do the national duel, to determine the team, so to speak. Yeah. So then you still have 4 or 5 weeks from the end of that to NCAAs.
Well, I would love for there to be some type of systematic approach to the wrestling season. Like kind of like I don't know, you said Maryland everyone gets 14 duels. Wouldn't it be nice if it would be nice for a multitude of reasons. It would be nice, but hey, football is every Sunday or maybe sometimes a Monday. Baseball doesn't play on schedule, but it would be nice if wrestling did some type of schedule. Like for these 6 weeks, it's every Friday and Sunday, and that every single team in college wrestling has 12 duels. And at the end of that, we'll know what your record is, and then we'll go from there. That would be really, really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with that. And even if it's the the conference champs all get in, and then there's one wild card, so there's 8 teams, and it's like, well, Big Ten should have multiple. They should have multiple. Well, everybody gets their shot.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. I hope it happens.
For those that don't know, Debbie Yao, who we were talking about, is the AD at NC State, and Hayden Hidlay tweeted, "I believe there has to be a way to form a dual national championship. Our resume is good enough to square off against the Big Ten's best. We've been an incredible dual team the past 5 years and should be able to put it on the line. What's the harm in finding out where we stand?" And then Debbie Yao responded, "The NCAA Blue Ribbon Task Force on Wrestling has advocated for this. I am a committee member. Coach Pop knows we have worked this idea for a couple years. Requires NCAA approval. Like most ideas, it is more complicated than thought."
My understanding is the big hurdles they don't want to. The NCAA is understandably pretty hardcore against 2 national titles, which to me then the fix is the duel is the team and the tournament is just the individual.
Well, I don't understand why they don't want 2. I mean, you got indoor and outdoor for track. You have a few other things just.
But they're 2 different seasons there, Ben.
Yeah, and that's what I would advocate for. Like I said, we could do 12 duels, right? Say the first 6 weeks, 12 duels or whatever formula you come up with. And then after that, you have, say, 4 tournaments and then the conference and the NCAAs. All the matches would count for the wrestlers' records, but you would have essentially a dual season and then a tournament season or whatever you want to call that second half. I think that could work really well. I think it would be great for fantasy wrestling, which, it's you guys try to do, but it's hard because people's freaking matches are all over the place.
Yeah.
It would be great for spectating because everyone would know what to expect when they're watching things. They know a schedule, a season. It would be much better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
okay.
I'd love to see it. There's nothing like these duels that we're seeing in the atmospheres that teams are getting now. The Princeton Cornell one from a couple weeks ago stands out too. So
I think we should get into the NC State Virginia Tech one because, as Bracky correctly said, it was the duel of the year.
I hate this. I hate that take, Bracky. I saw it in the notes.
let's talk about it.
Take the gloves off, boys.
To me, it was the duel of the year, not because of it wasn't wrestled in front of 16,000 people. It was like 4,000 or whatever. But every match outside of maybe 174, it was awesome wrestling and just like guys going for stuff. There were 3 pins and 2 of them in the first period. Just like guys going for it. And then you had, Hayden BC LePray legit pushed Hayden. Thomas Bullard upset David McFadden. You look at the score, it was 2-1. There were a lot of really good exchanges in that first period where McFadden was struggling to finish, and then Bullard puts a tough ride on him, but McFadden still gets out and has a chance to win. Then you had the Hunter Bolin Trent Hidlay match. Deontay Wilson upsets John Borsch. Camacho Prada was incredible. Insane. Camacho hit the Nolf roll to score a reversal, like while he was on bottom. That was awesome. and then Trombley getting that pin. It was just, to me, was like start to finish, 10 deep. The matches were more exciting than Iowa Penn State.
I mean, I know because of the fan base, it's not going to be good if you guys put a poll up because there's so many Penn State Iowa homers that they'll overtake it. No, it wasn't. Let's just talk through this. Wasn't an outstanding duel, of course. There were, to your point, there was so much action. The way I feel about Iowa Penn State is there were so many emotional swings in it, right? It was like, for a minute, Spencer Lee wins. Okay, then DeSanto gets hurt. Oh shoot! Now then Nick Lee gets a tech fall. Oh wow, Penn State's looking like they're gonna win. And then Lugo comes in there and it looks like he's gonna get Verklian stalled out for a second, and then he kind of stalls. And then the Vincenzo, and you're like, okay, it's favor Penn State. And I just felt like there's so many emotional swings in that match. And then obviously the Hall Kemmerer match. So I think the matches weren't as crazy, is what you're saying, but there were the emotional swings back and forth for each fan base. It wasn't like all Iowa or all Penn State. It was like really, really back and forth emotionally.
Well, you had the same with this duel, though, because the first match of the duel, Andonian comes out and sticks Lighton, and you're like, oh, man, like, I don't know if NC State can come back from that. And then Bullard upsets McFadden, and Bolin beats Hidlay, and you're like, so the Bullard win gets NC State back in it, but then Bolin brings Virginia Tech back right, and then Smelter gets a pin in 18 seconds.
NC State overcame 2 pins to win, Ben. How often does that happen?
Well, after that Smeltzer match, I think if you're an NC State fan, Virginia Tech fan, you're feeling really confident because I believe they were favored in 3 matches in a row after that. They were favored. Boris was favored, Girardi and Prado. They were all favored, and they all lost, which is crazy. I guess, I don't know. I can see it your way too. I can see the Virginia Tech NC State. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. The Iowa Penn State was just so good that
you were also there too, so that could have swung your opinion. Yeah. But let's get into a few of these matches and talk about them a little bit more. Andonian, man, when he's on, he's a lot of fun to watch.
He is a lot of fun to watch.
We've been talking about him for a while, and I'm glad that he's finally getting a shot. Unfortunate that Brent Moore's hurt, and that's why he's getting the shot. But, I mean, they were talking about him being the starter at the beginning of the year, and I think what you saw in that duel is why they were thinking about making him the starter at the beginning of the year, because he is that spark plug that can put up a lot of points or can pin a guy and be a big shakeup when it comes to a duel, big shakeup when it comes to trying to get, is Andonian going to win? Not this year, it doesn't look like 149, but you get a pin on the backside. Thinking about Iowa State, it was last year or 2 years ago where they got 4 pins on the backside NCAAs. That'll shoot you up, in the team finish. Yep. So that's why you get a guy like Andonian, and he showed that this duel.
Yeah, and then pretty workmanlike from Hayden over LaPrade. He did make him work for it, but he's a tough guy and is going to every time. What were your thoughts on Bullard over McFadden?
Yeah, you know what Bullard McFadden I think was the perfect example of. I'm trying to get Nomad fired up today. Maybe this one's gonna do it. I tried twice, I failed twice.
Let's go.
It was that the ride out can be exciting. I mean, like when Bullard was riding him and he was getting close to a minute, that place was going freaking bonkers. Like they understood the gravity of the situation. They understood that if he rides him for over a minute, that he's probably going to win the match, 2-1, which is how he ended up winning it. So man, that is the excitement of the ride out. Can you believe it, Nomad?
All right, so I'm gonna give you credit on this because I've said for a while, like, third period rideouts to win, that's grown man stuff, right? So one of the like big ones I can remember is when Bryce Meredith rode out Kevin Jack. Right, like in Reno finals, that was when I think they were 2-3 in the country, and there's 100 examples of it. Real Woods did to win Ironman title. To ride a guy out to get the win, that's grown man stuff, and for fans to appreciate it, that's awesome too. And for like one of the best ones I can remember is Missouri Iowa national duels. Missouri used their stall calls in that duel like a strategic basketball coach uses fouls. You know what I mean? Like they strategically using them as fouls to extend the game or to prevent points from being scored. So when you're doing it intelligently in small doses, yes, the ride can be exciting. However, as a whole, it's not very entertaining. But for individual things like that, individual moments, yes, it can be exciting, especially when the crowd has the wherewithal to be like, oh wow, we're gonna win this duel if he gets this.
Yeah, they were going bonkers when he was riding him out.
They were,
and it wasn't a stall ride at all. I mean, he was grinding him out. He flattened him out. He was getting, I don't want to say he was close to a turn, but he had the power half locked up pretty tight a few times. I mean, he was beating him down with the ride. Definitely wasn't a stall ride. So I was impressed. Is that Bullard's first like real big time win?
Probably over an All-American.
Yeah, I feel like it is. And so, that for him, I feel like he's kind of been in that, contender to All-American range for a while, but he hasn't had that big breakthrough win. And I kind of feel like, hey, maybe that's his big breakthrough win, because he's kind of been in that, say, 10 to 15 range for a while now.
Yeah, looking at his results, probably the biggest win he had this season going into that was he split with Ethan Smith at CKLV. But yeah, that's definitely his biggest one.
That's a huge win. Hey, I got breaking news here. I'm an uncle for the first time.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah. So my brother just had a kid.
Congratulations, man.
He didn't have the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max and Alex had a kid. So I'm an
That's
uncle.
awesome.
Max.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. Okay, on to Bolin and Hidlay. Were you impressed?
He's never gonna pronounce it right.
No.
Hidlay.
Look, Ben, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be the guy who does that, but he's like number 2 in the country. Like this guy could be a national champ. I feel like you should get national champs names.
They messed the pronunciation up like hundreds of years ago, and they just stuck with it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Sorry to be that guy.
Okay, Hidlay. Bolin went with him power-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, Bolin is a strong dude.
Christiansburg Cowboy right there.
I love that nickname.
What surprised me is he beat him with his own game.
Yeah.
He underhook singled him to score the lone takedown of the match. And then, like you were saying, Ben, it didn't look like Trent had anything left in the third period.
No, definitely not. I mean, there was one on the edge where Bolin like circled him with the underhook, and he kind of like made him fly a little bit. I'm like, damn, that's the power of that underhook right there. I mean, I couldn't believe how he moved Trent with the underhook. I was really impressed. I knew he was a strong guy, but yeah, I mean, we know how powerful Trent is, and so yeah, that was like the way he moved him was really impressive to me.
Hey Ben, I don't know if this specific thing happened, but I know Bracky and I wanted to talk about it for Pletcher Lee, and again, I don't want to hijack this to get this. Maybe we can save it for that. But we were talking about we wanted. If Bracky and I talk about it, maybe people won't listen to us. But the real effects that an adrenaline dump can have on someone, where you get too amped up, which we know Trent gets amped up. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Bolin, but just that has happened to guys where they psych themselves up and they don't have anything left for the match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that like 2 weeks ago, maybe, Bracky, and I told you it never happened to me in a match. Where it happened to me, this is so dumb, but I talked about when we were doing the pro matches, and I was running everything. I was running the tournaments, and I was running the the pro matches, and I was making sure everyone got in the right places, and travel was good. And dude, by the time I got to the match, it was like, oh my god, I got nothing left here. It was terrible. So yeah, I mean that emotion affecting performances, that's real. And so I know a lot of coaches, and I don't agree necessarily, but maybe for certain people I would, that like during a really emotional dual meet like that, you make sure your guys stay calm and don't get too into the match, because if they're just into the match for the whole time, that a lot of coaches think that can take away from their ability to go perform their best later in the match.
Well, one guy I think that's going to potentially affect next year is Kevon Davenport, because that dude is like maybe the best hype man in the game, but they're going to need him to be like, okay, Kevon, not until after 149 can you get into the match. Like once you wrestle, you can go wild, but we need you in the match. Because he's
so
just
will
so
they try to
passionate.
start every duel? Will they try to start every duel at 157?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 149.
Yeah. So again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Bolin. I know that's a thing that impacts it. And look, Bolin beat Trent on the road. He has one loss this year, which he avenged. They're gonna meet in the ACC championship in a neutral environment. So you'd think Bolin would be favored there. If you beat him on the road, you theoretically should beat him by more in neutral environment. But I just wanted to say, like, sometimes that does affect guys, and I don't know. The emotions of the duel could have gotten to Trent.
He's Bolin. I think this just kind of like maybe cements himself to the country. I feel like he wasn't being talked about a lot, and no fault of his own. He has a great resume, but this kind of like shows like, hey, like I can make the finals. I can wrestle with all these other dudes that are making noise every weekend.
He's got to win one more big match to be the number 2 seeded NCAAs. He'll be the number 1 seeded ACC. So you'll have Bonacorsi and Hidlay 2-3. So they'll wrestle each other in semi. Obviously, that's a really good match. And then he'll have to beat one of them in the finals. And I feel like if he wins the ACCs, he's the very clear number 2 going in NCAAs. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, because so beating Trent again, or like you were saying, beating Nino, if like there's an upset there, that like winning the ACC is a solid weight. So then he'll get complete credit there. He has the most recent over Lujan, so he should be ahead in all the coaches' rankings there. And then, yeah, I mean, the rest of his resume is very solid as far as quality wins. I don't know what his RPI is. I'd have to double check. But, yeah, I mean, he really is looking like the favorite to be the 2 seed. And you talk about the resume. The last 2 years, he has 2 losses. One is to Lujan, which he avenged. The other was to fully healthy Shakur Rashid.
Wait, I thought he had one more loss? I was just looking at his record. Nope, you're right. My bad. He only has 1 loss this year.
So no bad losses the last 2 years. Bunch of good wins. I mean, guy's a stud.
Yep. So his biggest wins, obviously, Lujan, DePrez, and Hidlay, and then possibly one more over either Hidlay or Bonacorsi. So I definitely think that's gonna be enough for him to get the 2 seeded NCAAs.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so then Stanley Smelter, electric factor that he is, 18 seconds. Nick Rena did not wrestle. It was Tyree Houghton.
Bracky, you were watching the broadcast, weren't you? They were interviewing the Bullard brothers. The Bullard brothers didn't even react to it. I know. Damn, they were focused on the interview.
I know. They did that with I think right after heavyweight they interviewed Gwiz, and there was like awesome wrestling going on with Prada and Camacho. I wish they would have just let the wrestling go. But anyways, that was crazy. But then Wilson gets NC State back on track and gives them hope when he takes out John Boris. Really been impressed with Wilson the past couple of weeks, coming up clutch in those big moments. He's a really big dude, and he can move well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, NC State's had such a good track record with heavyweights and getting them bigger, better. Upperweights too, guy like Mike Machiavello, who went from walk on to a national champion. So they're kind of proven there. And yeah, Deontay Wilson's. I feel like I didn't know who he was going into the year. I feel like he's getting better and better as the season goes on. He's had a few losses. He lost to the Hofstra kid. He lost to Demetrius Thomas from Pittsburgh. But I think he's someone who could get a few good wins for them at the NCAAs for sure.
Yeah, and then you probably loved 125. Camacho and Prada, it seemed like they were scrambling literally the entire match.
Yeah, it was an awesome match back and forth. I mean, I was impressed at the last ride out. I'm sorry, not Prada. Trod. Oh my gosh, I messed up. Trombley. Who's that? Camacho. Thank you. I'm messing his name up. He had the wherewithal to come off the legs a couple times in that last little ride out. I mean, it looked like he was definitely called for stalling, and that would have tied the matchup and sent to overtime. So he had the wherewithal. It was like at the 4 count where he came up off the legs to not get called for stalling.
Yep, and you saw after the match, the ref blew the match dead when the clock ran out. Prada was looking for that point. He's like, "What the heck? I thought I had the point."
Yep.
Camacho's one that I really like coming through high school. He's now beaten Prada 2 straight years. He beat him last year, start the year at the Hokie Open, and beat him this year. And And outside of he had kind of a bad loss at the Southern Sculpture where he got pinned against VMI, John McGarry, a guy who right now is not looking like a qualifier. But otherwise, he's 16-6 against D1 guys this year, and basically the rest of the losses are like ranked guys or good guys. So, and look, 25 is a mess, you know. So Camacho, if he can, he's probably not going to win ACCs because of Mueller, but if he can make ACC finals and then get on a run, you know, that's going to be a huge help for NC State. And I know our man David Bray is doing he's going to do a series of articles about all the teams like that have been in that 3rd, 4th spot this year. And NC State right now kind of on the outside looking in, but you know, there's as there is every year, but there's so many weights where there's a big question mark. 125 is one of those weights. So Camacho is one that could maybe get them some points NCAAs.
Yeah, I mean, 2025 goes deep of guys who you feel like could All-American. I don't want to say something crazy, right? But almost feels like the weight where you could go the lowest, and then you could say, oh, I could see that guy All-American. You know, someone like Jack Medley, who was ranked like at 24, I've been really impressed. He had the decision. He only lost by decision to Spencer Lee, and then he looked really good against Eric Barnett. You know, he's a guy where I feel like, wow, if he got hot, I could see him beating some of these guys for sure. And then, yeah, so 25, I feel like you go really far down. Maybe a Nick Aguilar from Rutgers. I feel like Jacob Camacho is another good one. Yeah, I feel like you go really deep, and you can still see some of those guys All-American.
Hey, also update when we were talking about Bolin being the 2 seed, he's number 1 in RPI. So if he takes care of business at ACC,
over Zahid?
Zahid is 3. Bolin, Lujan, Valencia, Venz, Assad are your top 5 for RPI right now.
How is Zahid number 3? How is this even possible?
Bolin has a much tougher schedule than Zahid this year.
Yeah, but Zahid smashed everybody.
But RPI doesn't look at the margin of victory, Ben.
Does he have a tougher schedule?
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Really? Wow. So it does not look
he's beaten ranked Billy Janzer,
but it's
Taylor Vance,
it's not
Sammy
just
Colbray, Louis Dupre, Trent Hidlay, Andrew Morgan, Marcus Coleman.
That's a pretty good resume right there.
Dylan Wisman. Yeah, that feels better than...
Bolin has basically all those same wins.
Bolin's got a loss,
Hidlay, Wisman, Lujan, Waddell's really high, Dupre, Morgan. Like, he's got...
All right.
Doesn't the loss take away from it? The RPI?
I'm not 100% sure. It might, yeah.
Citadel assistant coach Cody Cleveland just put in the chat RPI formula win percentage times 0.25 plus opponent win percentage times 0.5 and then plus opponent win percentage.
Okay, here's the thing though. And
so your
Cody's
win
the man.
Is only 25%.
Yes, and Cody's the man for sharing that. However, I don't think that's how it's actually done. Because, well, here's what I'm gonna say. There's two people now that have tried to do that throughout the course of the year, and both have been incorrect. Alex Steen did it a couple years ago, and WrestleStat tried to do it this year, and they both came up with things that did not match what the RPI was when it came out, and that's why I said on Twitter the other day that the NCAA.
Wait, no man, doesn't RPI put out their formula, or you're saying it's hidden?
I'm saying. The formula that's putting out, people are trying to match it, and it's not coming up with the same thing that the NCAA is putting out when the RPI rankings come out. And so something is getting lost in translation. And that's why I said on Twitter the other day, the NCAA should put out the formula, show the numbers so that everyone can double-check it, and put it out starting in, like, December and have an asterisk and say this person does not have enough matches so, like, they know when people do it. Because it shouldn't be a nuclear secret. And I think the NCAA is open to doing this. I just think there's something getting lost in translation that the guys who made an honest attempt to do it, why they came up with something different than the NCAA.
Sure,
you want to get me fired up? Talk about seeding. That'll get me fired up. I'm about to talk about Sebastian Rivera later.
You see the Sebastian Rivera 11.
Yeah, and we can talk about that later.
And Penn State, Ohio State. Are you wearing a Northwestern sweatshirt?
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Take it off.
We'll get into that later. Let's finish this duel up real quick.
We can't talk about it now.
Let's finish this duel and then we'll talk about it.
Wait. Look, can I ask one thing? How audacious were the Instagram takes to that post?
I didn't look at it.
Did you guys read some of the comments? Oh, you guys got to read the comments.
Lowest common denominator.
All right, real quick. Jarrett Trombley makes it 3 straight wins for NC State. He decks Colin Girardi. Beautiful short offense, jumped to the side, locked the cradle up, and he was so stuck.
Stuck. Hey, isn't cradle? Isn't cradle the greatest move ever? We've seen a lot of cradle pins lately. We are seeing a lot of them.
Sedge Live almost got pinned in the cradle.
Was every pin in this duel a cradle?
Well, Smelter was.
And then Andonian was too. So wow.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna go homer here. There was a big pin in the Maryland Independent State Finals where a freshman pinned a multiple-time National Prep All-American in the cradle. Meyer Shapiro, coached by Johnny Morrison.
What's he talking about?
I don't know. Maryland State Finals.
Yeah, some Maryland State Finals. a freshman beat a nationally ranked guy with a cradle. Because it's a great move. It's my favorite move as well.
It is great. Yeah. Meyer Shapiro?
Yeah. He's a man.
I don't know him. He's a man.
Well, you'll learn him.
And then the final match, Mitch Moore nearly pinned Tariq Wilson in the first period. He probably was pinned.
He almost beat him at CKLV. Tariq got him in overtime.
Tariq's never gonna return to form. The form is lost at sea. Will never be found.
Lost at sea.
It's hard to match the level he was at in Cleveland that year. He was just on another planet.
Yep.
All right, so I guess before we talk Ohio State, Penn State, Nomad, we mentioned it. Let's get into it. Seeding for the Big Ten tournament. You have Sebastian Rivera seeded 11th. Explain yourself.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this. I'm gonna preface this by saying, y'all are soft wrestling fans. Okay, you want to talk about a meritocracy. You want to talk about earning things. Okay, what has Sebastian Rivera done this year, resume-wise, to earn a better seed at Big Tens? Now, I wore this Northwestern hoodie.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Does last year count for 0?
It counts for as much as they wanted to count for.
Okay, well, what does it count for?
Big Ten basically has no rules. The coaches vote.
No rules.
The coaches vote, so you hand in a sheet that's 1 through 14. They average it, and then they go to a meeting the night before or whatever, like day before, they have a conference call or whatever, and then they're like, argue guys up or down.
Oh, so there's no way he's getting seeded 11. There's no way.
However, hold on. However, the NCAA only counts this year for seeding.
This year, yes.
So why should the conferences be any different?
That they should systemize that, right? You shouldn't have. Because then you can get drastically different seeding if you count last year versus this year.
Exactly.
For a lot of people. Yeah,
exactly.
That's not good.
So if NCAA doesn't count it, conferences shouldn't count it. But if NCAA starts doing it, which I think a lot of people would be okay with, then the conferences can do it. Now, okay, on to my next point. If you want me to seed it by prediction, and why I'm wearing this Northwestern thing, I have said Seabass is going to win. I said he's going to win Midlands. I said he's going to win this. I said he's going to win NCAAs. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I said a couple weeks ago. Remember that, Brecky?
That would mean 3 in a row. He's going to beat Austin DeSanto, then Roman Bravo Young, then Seth Gross, 3 in a row. Do you know how amazing that would be?
That would be incredible. And so that's my point. If you want to go, you seeded how you think it's going to go. Okay, well then I think it should be Seabass 1, Gross 2, RBY 3, DeSanto 4. You want to talk about how I think it's going to go? That's how I would seed it. So shut up, fans who think I hate Sebastian Rivera.
Who are the 4-5 seeds in your seeding criteria?
Are you saying like if I have Sebastian 11?
Yeah. Who are 4 and 5? Well, I think he's actually probably gonna end up 6 or 7. I don't really see a realistic chance where he ends up 4 or 5 because there are some guys with some really good resumes right below RBY and DeSanto.
Well, right. So and so here's my thing. So there's 3 options. Okay. You go, quote unquote, common sense. Okay, where he is the 5 seed because you just have to acknowledge Piotrowski had an amazing season, only lost to the guys above him. Sebastian didn't finish the match against him, and 4 and 5 are the same thing. Okay, so that's the common sense move.
Yes, 4 and 5 are the same thing.
Now, there is, and remember, I was the guy who said Chenzo should be the 3 seed last year because he didn't wrestle Wick. Because I believe you should reward guys who are on the mat. I understand why Sebastian wasn't on the mat.
Yeah.
That was not his choice. He wasn't avoiding anyone. He was legitimately hurt. The coaching staff was doing what was best for him. However, the other two options are to make him the 11, punish him for not punish him so much for not wrestling, but reward the guys who did wrestle all year, and then he has to go through 3, 2, 1 in a row, or make him the 12, which is the 5, and then the four best guys are separated. Those are your three options. Everything else is disingenuous to the people who wrestled all year. To Ridge Lovett and Sammy Alvarez. Sammy Alvarez took the mat on Friday night.
He had a good year.
Sebastian didn't. And again, I don't think Sebastian was ducking him.
Where's Joey Silva? Someone tell me.
He only wrestles home duels. I'm serious.
Does he have some type of thing where he can't leave the state of Michigan? Maybe a arrest warrant or something.
I don't think he has
an arrest warrant.
He's just only wrestled home duels.
Maybe there is. Maybe
what do you have him
uncovering
projected
something
at?
here.
I have him as like
13?
11.
No,
'Cause
you
he'd
have
be-
Sebastian
Wait,
Rivera
no,
11.
Well, I know, but this was because this was before I thought Alvarez was gonna be able. So he would be
12.
10 or 12, yeah.
Okay. Wow, the Big 10 is crazy at 133.
Yes. Now, Ben, where do you
Yes.
fall on? So regardless of like Sebastian Rivera himself, where do you fall in my stance that you should reward guys who wrestle, and you can also do you can also do things where a guy falls in the bracket in a way that still doesn't screw up the bracket.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Obviously, I agree with you. In this case, it's really hard because, what you would say is that Sebastian is so much better than Pietrowski and Alvarez and Lovett. So you kind of feel as though he should be the 4 because he is. I mean, he was beating Pietrowski fairly easily there. At the same time, you feel like, hey, maybe though he hasn't wrestled, you should reward the other guys. So I feel like your argument to putting him at 12 is probably better because then the 4 best guys are separated. Because I think it is pretty clear to everyone that Gross, RBY, DeSanto, and Sebastian are the 4 best guys.
Okay, so you think 12 is reasonable?
I think that's kind of where you have to. I think that's kind of where you would have to put him. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ben's
Otherwise,
smart.
It is disingenuous. To your point.
I'm just saying, like, Ridge Lovett wrestled all year. Sammy Alvarez wrestled all year. These guys took the mat, beat guys below them. Sebastian was 1 and 2 in conference matches, and one of them was an injury default, and one of them was over King Sandoval, who's going to be your 13 or 14 seed. So, you can say it's punishing a guy for not wrestling. I look at it the other way and saying it's rewarding guys who are being on the mat. And again, I understand why Sebastian wasn't wrestling. I agree with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. However, if you guys want to say we should punish people for not taking the mat, and then I do this and everybody freaks out. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. You're 100% right. Because I can't take it when people want it both ways. That one drives me crazy. When they try to use an example here and then they're essentially arguing with their own example over here. That one does drive me crazy.
So I'm gonna be consistent every time I do these seed projections. There's gonna be one where I like basically take a stand and go, "This is bullcrap. This guy didn't wrestle. The resume is objectively better. This is how you do it." And again, you can still do it in a way that doesn't screw up the bracket. So sorry to hijack this, but I think we've decided Sebastian Rivera, 12 seed NC at Big Tens, and he's gonna win anyway.
Wow.
Okay. So, talking about Sebastian, he was back this weekend on Sunday. He got a first period.
But he didn't wrestle Friday.
Correct.
Who did he have Friday?
Sammy Alvarez. He didn't wrestle Friday. Came back Sunday against King Sandoval. Maryland got a pin in the first period, and he was looking thick. He was. I mean,
that thick. He's got to make 125 at the qualifier.
I'm telling you, he just looked like a guy that hasn't been able to work out fully.
Yeah, because he's injured.
I know.
Right?
That's all I'm saying. It's just like he didn't look as maybe as lean as he did at Midlands.
Yeah. And Ben, let me get your take on this on like Sebastian. So Sebastian comes from the MMA world, right? Where he wants to go into MMA. What do you do in MMA? You do like a 5 or 6 week fight camp, right?
You think that's what he's doing?
Yes, that's what he has to do. That's what he has to do. That's when he got cleared to wrestle.
But I don't think his plan was to get hurt. He didn't have that plan.
No, I'm saying obviously his plan wasn't to get hurt, but once he got hurt, and the timeline of him getting cleared, he is in a 5 or 6 week fight camp.
Sure. Yeah, but then his fight camp's gonna extend to the qualifier.
No, he's not doing Pan Am qualifier.
No. The last chance. That's like 10 weeks away, right?
Yeah.
Is it 4 weeks after NCAAs?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a 10-week camp. He's got extended camp.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah. So, man, I wish he would have wrestled Friday night. I think that would have gave us some more clarity in the situation.
Yep.
I agree.
That would have been really nice.
All right, we finally need to get into it. Penn State, Ohio State, from the sold-out Bryce Jordan Center. I believe the third largest indoor wrestling crowd. To see a duel, nearly 16,000 people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, the big story is Nick Lee, Luke Pletcher. Ben, what were your thoughts?
Nick Lee wore him out. Nick Lee looks like he's on another level because I thought Pletcher was on another level this year. I think Nick Lee should legitimately be considered for Hodge right now.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy?
You're crazy.
Why?
Because
I didn't say he should win. I said he should be in consideration. He majored Tristan. He majored Chad Red. I'm sorry. He majored Chad Red. He pinned Mitch McKee. I mean, his bonus rate is really high. I don't see why he can't be in consideration.
Well, I mean, no, man, this moves him into like 4th place right now, right?
Yeah, that's what I have him at.
Okay, then he's in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying Zahid and Spencer are on a different tier of everyone.
Okay,
including Chenzo and Nick Lee.
Okay, but Zahid just had a decision win against Dylan Wisman. Spencer Lee just had a decision win against Jack Medley. Now, what
Nick Lee had a decision win against Dresden Simon.
I don't know him. Okay, anyways. say Nick Lee bonuses to the finals of the NCAA and then beats Luke Pletcher. And say Zahid and Spencer have, say, 3 decision wins at NCAAs. Would Nick Lee be under reasonable consideration?
Sure, but you're talking about you're talking about things that are like currently outside of the realm of likelihood.
Sure, that's fair. But I mean, what if, say, in the round of 16, Spencer Lee had Jack Medley and Zahid had Dylan Wisman? That's a possibility.
I mean, yes, Ben. Like, if Nick Lee bonuses the rest of the year and Chenzo Spencer and Zahid don't bonus the rest of the year, yeah, sure. But we're operating in like likelihoods right now.
I'm trying to find your article right now from this. You've done a new one this week, right?
I haven't done the one for this week. I'm writing it today.
Oh, okay. Because I'm trying to look up percentages.
You trying to look
they're
up
at right now.
You cut out there. What'd you say, Ben?
I said I'm trying to look up what your bonus percentages are right now.
So
Nick Lee's 88.24.
Yeah.
What are the other guys at?
Zahid's 85. I have his pulled up.
Okay.
And Spencer's probably gonna be a little bit higher because he only has one.
One.
He's 85.71.
Damn. So Nick Lee's leading the bonus right now. Wow.
Now, what are your? I'm actually okay. I know Christian doesn't like this. I'm actually okay with past accomplishments being a criteria.
I don't love it. I think for me it's way down there. For me, this is a 1-season award, and we can maybe take a tiny bit of what they have done into it. But for me, it's what did they do this year? That's what it is for me.
Can I introduce a thought to your head, Ben? Because you literally had to go through this.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the best example could be like an Imar, okay? Yep. When you are the champ, do you think, so say you win as a sophomore or junior, you come back the next year, do you think you get more of the other guy's best attempts as opposed to before you're the champ? Because I think that's what happened to Imar. I think Imar got way more guys strategizing for him, giving it their best effort, and that's why his bonus rate and his dominance kind of went down his last 2 years.
I don't think it's specifically the champs. I think it's high-level wrestlers. And then what happens is, here's exactly what happens, is if you're diverse enough, if you're very diverse in your attacks, people can't game plan for you. They can't game plan for Zahid. They can't game plan for Nick Lee. Or you're so good at what you do, i.e. Spencer Lee. And there's been in the history, all of the history of wrestling, there's been very few people like Spencer Lee who are so good at what they do, and it's very specific, but they still get it over and over and over again. And so if you fall in another category where you do very specific things, like Imar would be the underhook, or like Chenzo, he does a few very specific takedowns. Alex Marinelli is very specific. So if you're in that good range, people they know what you do. They've seen you for 1 or 2 or 3 years in NCAA wrestling. And if they can game plan for that, they will. And so people can't game plan for Nick Lee. He does too many things. I mean, I think that's just what it comes down to.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I just that's why I'm okay with past results mattering, because I feel like like, I don't know, I've just heard a lot of people say in many different sports, it is easier to get to the top than to hold the top.
I feel like for specific styles, like if you come out of nowhere, a guy who I think of like this is a guy named Nick Marable. You guys remember him?
Of course.
I was coaching him at Missouri. His first year where he actually started. So his freshman year, so his redshirt year, and then his freshman year. Freshman year he was really good, but he was behind Matt Pell and myself. But we used him varsity for certain times, and then so he comes out as a sophomore, and his only losses were Mark Perry twice, and he bumped up against Keith Gavin, and he lost that match. The both national champions were his only losses. He had 3 losses, 2 to Mark Perry, 1 to Keith Gavin. But he had a very specific style. And for folk style, he wasn't great on top, so he barely ever rode, and he wasn't great on bottom. And his style was they would shoot on him. He was a master at go-behinds. I mean, he had nasty go-behinds, but he couldn't generate a lot of his own offense. So the year he took third at NCAAs, everyone's shooting on him. He hits a go-behind. Well, once he's winning, they got to keep coming at him, and he scores more and more and more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, his junior year, what does everyone say? Well, this guy's really good. I know he can't shoot very much. I'm not going to shoot on him. So, I mean, oh, my God. He had so many matches that were like 2-1, 3-1, overtime, 3-2. I'm going to try to ride him for 1:10 and win, just barely win. And I think he had like 9 losses that year. So something totally crazy, right, where he went from 3 losses to national champions to 9 losses. So if your style is really specific and not diverse, people can absolutely game plan for you. But if your style is very diverse, like Nick Lee's is, like Zahid Valencia's is, it's really, really hard to game plan for. That's kind of my take. Yeah.
I'll give you some quick numbers here, Ben. I haven't done the average time on Matt, but so dominant score. So we're just looking at the top 4 guys because I think they're pretty separated.
Who's 3? I'm blank. Is it Gable?
Chenzo? I have Chenzo 3.
Okay.
So top 4 guys: Spencer Lee. If you treat every match like a dual meet, dominant score is 5. Then Zahid 4.882. Then Nick Lee 4.765. Vincenzo 4.417.
Okay.
Bonus: Spencer's 1 with 92. Zahid and Nick Lee tied for second at 88. Chenzo third with 67%. Pin rate: okay. Zahid at the top 41%. Then Chenzo 33%. Then Nick Lee 23.5%, and then Spencer Lee 23.1%.
Yeah. So I think I'll stick with my initial assessment that Nick Lee, definitely, he's not the favorite for the Hodge, but I think he's in the conversation. And if those top guys slip up and Nick Lee keeps going, and this is something, I mean, I said last year, when is Nick Lee going to develop? I mean, do you guys remember the ass kicking that Dom Demas gave Nick Lee at NCAAs last year? And you were like, holy moly. Yeah, I mean, and you were like, holy moly. I guess Nick Lee's just not getting very much better. And now this year, I know Yanni's not there, and I know Jaden's not there, but I feel like Nick Lee has made this jump from his sophomore year to his junior year that is really impressive.
Okay, I like all your points about that. I thought you were saying he was like the favorite. That's why I got so fired up. Yes, he's definitely in the conversation, and I think it's gonna be really hard if Chenzo goes 3 for 3 against Marinelli, if Lee goes 3 for 3 against Pletcher, if Kemmer goes 3 for 3 against Hall, like all those guys need to be very legitimate because of how clear like the 1 and 2 is. My last thing on the Hodge, because this is a thing with David Brady and I talked about, and then we got to get into Ohio State, Penn State. But how much should in the past freestyle credentials didn't count, right? Like the Kyle Snyder corollary, where and that was partially because he only wrestled like 5 matches, so it was like completely different than Zahid and Spencer, who basically wrestled full schedules. If you include freestyle credentials for just like during the season, then Zahid is clearly the number 1 for winning both senior nationals and Mateo. Spencer Lee is the 2 with senior nationals. Nick Lee is the 3 for winning or for getting 3rd at senior nationals.
Yep.
And then Chenzo and Gable somewhere in there. Gable won Bill Farrell beating the guy who won senior nationals and Don Bradley. And Chenzo made the semis and beat Mekhi Lewis.
Yeah, I don't think you count freestyle. I think this is a folk style award for the folk style season, and that's it.
Okay. Because I agreed with it at the time with like Snyder Zane, but now I'm kind of started leaning that it should count, because that to me is like an example of why Zahid and Spencer are so far ahead also.
Yeah, I mean, I don't count it in my head at all, but obviously Zahid and Spencer both have really, really impressive. And you know what the fact is, it just wouldn't be finished up because they can look at it as shiny as they want, but we don't really know till Olympic trials who's going to have better.
Yep.
Right. I mean that's when it's going to be the final determination.
Well, and that's why kind of the time period that the Hodge is given out is usually going to be like about after that. So I'd be fine if they waited till Olympic trials and that was factored in. I really would.
But then that would be only this year, because then generally speaking, the World Team Trials are a month later or so. And I feel like in past years they picked it like the Monday after NCAAs. Yeah. And maybe they don't announce till a little bit later, but I feel like they pick it almost right away.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yes, I agree with you that Nick Lee's in the conversation. I still think Zahid and Spencer are a tier above. Anyway, sorry to hijack with the Hodge conversation, because we do need to talk about the rest of Penn State.
Hey, how about Gas Tank Gary? My Tuesday headline was Gas Tank Gary blows the roof off the Bryce Jordan Center. And unfortunately, Caleb Romero decided to get pinned, so he didn't give Gas Tank Gary the setup to be able to do so. But Gas Tank Gary needs some respect.
Yes, he does. So he beat Seth Nevels with a late takedown in the 3rd, and he had to go get it, and he did a beautiful high crotch, and he picked Big Snacks up off the mat and put him down
per his father's request.
Yes, that was impressive.
And then he rode him like the last 15 seconds because an escape he had to get rid of riding time. There was like 5 seconds of riding time he had to get rid of, and then he rode him. And what's great about the video is or the match, you can see Gary's dad going nuts.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I'll send you the link. And then, so someone tweeted out the video and was like, the best part of this is Mr. Traub going crazy. And then Gary quote tweeted it and said he was screaming all match, put him in the air. So he put him in the air.
No, he did not. He was not. Oh, my God.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's so ridiculous.
They were talking about it on the broadcast. The dude weighs 227 pounds.
Oh, that's all he weighs?
That's what they said.
He's not that big for
man.
heavyweight.
Big Snacks has to be 250 plus.
Oh, he's big. He looks more than 250. I don't know that he is, but he looks bigger than that.
He picked him up and put him down. And we got some questions about Gas Tank Gary. Someone asked if he could win the Hodge.
This is shenanigans.
Citizenship and heart alone.
Based on his citizenship and heart.
Shenanigans.
I think you have to talk about it.
Oh, for God's sake. Stop.
No, I'm just kidding. But that
don't encourage these trolls.
That was a really funny question. I mean, that was a heck of a win. He's up to number 17 in the rankings. All for a guy that was a walk-on. And it is literally still
3rd string at the start of the year.
Yeah, and he works part-time. Like it's
no,
crazy.
I thought he quit. I thought Tom Ryan made him quit his job.
He might have quit now that he's like the full-time starter and everything, but he was working like part-time to start the year.
That's a real blue-collar American man right there.
Heck yeah, it is. Mark Hall, like you said, kind of put this out of reach there. Vincenzo.
Didn't Caleb Romero know that Mark Hall does mixers?
I mean, you would think everyone would know. Like Mark's still hitting it on people this year, and
come on.
Mixer. Like, it's coming. He's going to hit it.
Yeah, Romero's not the only one who's fallen victim to that after they should have known it's coming. What do you do in that front headlock then?
I mean, you know what's so impressive about Mark Hall as mixers? He doesn't grab the hand, right? Which is that's what makes it so tricky and so tough to defend. But you gotta have that feeling that there's a chance he's going that right to the underhook side, and so you gotta be ready to either post extra or with your hand or use your foot to make sure you don't go over, right? You have to be bracing for that because that is obviously that's not just like you're just giving him a takedown. That's like if he hits you on that, it's over. It's done. So you got to be bracing for that a little bit.
Yeah, and that match combined with Chenzo kind of pushing for that major in the third and getting it kind of put the duel out of reach. Oh, and then Aaron Brooks put it on Rocky.
Oh, that was the one that put it out of reach. I thought that could be a competitive match and Rocky Jordan might keep it close. I mean, Rocky Jordan's beat good guys this year. He beat Taylor Venz. Aaron Brooks put it on him. My God. I mean, yeah, that was really impressive. I mean, Brooks, I think someone said this. I don't know if it was a question for friends or I don't know. Maybe you guys said this in the thing, but I feel like Brooks is jumping levels.
Yep. Yeah, he looks really good. How high up that pecking order do you think he can go?
Really high. I mean,
finals high.
Like finals. I feel like you go to. I mean, obviously, I don't know if he's on the opposite side as a Heat. I don't feel like he's the Heat level, but I feel as though, I feel as though he could go very, very high up the list, all the way up to finalist.
Well, he did say he was going to pin the Heat in March, so
that was dumb.
Yeah,
but at that point, he was losing 6-0.
Yeah, but I mean, Penn State's really like their season ride. They're not their season, but the season. The NCAA's rides on Aaron Brooks and RBY because Nick Lee should be first or second, Chenzo should be first or second, Mark Hall should be first or second, but RBY's variance is fourth through first. Aaron Brooks' variance is eighth through first.
Yep,
or second probably. But I mean, the last 2 weeks, 13-3 over Webster, 15-4 over Rocky. Seems like he's finally healthy because he got dinged up after senior nationals, and then I think he got something else nagging him in like early January. So I think he's both like peaking in terms of skill, and also his body is back to being fresh and as healthy as one can be this late in the season.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know about you guys. I keep like waiting for Shakur Rashid to like return to form.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that too. Colin Moore majored him. They'd had 2- and 3-point matches in the past, but Moore got a takedown in like the first 10 seconds, and it was over as soon as that happened. 157, we saw Brady Berge back.
And that wasn't pretty.
It was not. It looked like he had not been on the mat a ton. And he got an early takedown with a nice drag, but then he just didn't have it in the third period, and Kinner gets the takedown and then the tough ride. He's good on top, so that once he got the takedown, I felt like he was going to ride him out.
Yeah, I mean the Berge, obviously I don't know what his issues were or are. I don't know what it is. But man, when a guy can bump up from 133 and take you out, you're not a factor at that weight class.
It's just so unfortunate that and again, I literally just talked about RBY and Aaron Brooks. Like, if they can, get it done, then Penn State is much better, much higher likelihood of being able to challenge Iowa. But it just stinks that we're not going to get full health Penn State. And then, like Berge, Shakur, Kazar's completely done. Shakur and Berge, yeah. I don't know if they're ever going to be fully healthy for the rest of the year. And it just stinks that, if Iowa beats Penn State, that it won't be full Penn State, and that's not Iowa's problem if they do it, but it's tough, man.
Yeah, I don't think you can even count that full health because like Kemmerer last year.
Sure.
I'm sure if you really think deeply enough about all of the teams that were second or third place at NCAAs, you're going to find a whole bunch of injuries.
Yep.
So I don't think you can say that. Obviously, depth matters, and Penn State just doesn't have it. They can't find someone to plug in at 57. And let me throw this one out to you guys. They can't find someone at 25. That's for sure. Meredith is not getting done. So 33 at Ohio versus Penn State, Ohio State, really good for Penn State. 41, really good for Penn State. 49, Verclearen's making really good improvements. Can he get over the hump? I don't know. So after 149 pounds, I'm like, wow, maybe finally what Christian is saying is right, that Penn State's going to close the gap, you know? But then I see 57, like, okay, they're scoring zero there. And then 97 heavyweight, okay, they're scoring very little at 97. They're scoring almost zero at heavyweight. So despite the fact that they're wrestling really well at those 5 weight classes, and then I'm going to even add in Verclaren, so 5.5 to 6 weight classes, the other weight classes, it just looks like they're getting 0 points. And with as good as Iowa is, man, they're just not going to get it done. I mean, that's kind of, I feel the same way I did previously.
Yeah, I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. Jared Verclaren was born with a condition that makes it hard to cut weight.
Is that true? Is it true?
Yeah, he's diabetes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, Jared Verclaren is basically, in my opinion, one of the single most impressive wrestlers in Division I for the last several years, because the smallest thing can throw off his weight cut. Yeah. And then he still goes out, wins matches, still goes into overtime with Sasso and Brayton Lee. But it's just hard to rely on a guy like that, not because Jared's doing anything wrong, but just because his body has something different that most 99% of the guys in NCAA doesn't have.
So are you guys feeling the same way I just said about Penn State, like that they, as good as some of the guys wrestling, that they just can't really challenge?
Yeah, I agree. They just don't have enough weapons, like enough firepower.
Mm-hmm.
When Iowa's rolling 10 deep, have legitimate chances of finishing in the top 8, and another 4 or 5 guys that have legitimate chances of making the finals, then yeah, it's just not enough this year. If it were another year, then yeah, they absolutely could win with 5 guys, but not this year.
2017, they proved that.
Yeah.
I also think that this is one of the few instances where whatever Iowa may lose in like variance of guys underperforming seed or ranking, like whatever that possibility is, they're going to make up in bonus.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's kind of the difference. Where, sure, Iowa may underperform. They may also overperform, but they may you have to acknowledge they may underperform. But I still think that gets made up with Spencer's bonus. I think that gets made up with Marinelli bonusing. I think maybe Cassiope bonuses. DeSanto bonus. So I just think there's more paths to victory for them. And then as easily as Penn State could have 4 national champs and Brooks in the finals, they could also have 0 national champs and RBY finishes 4th and Brooks finishes 5th.
Hey, that was a really good question, Nomad, in the questions for friends. Someone said, what is more likely, that Penn State has 0 champions or 4 champions? And you just mentioned there are 4 possibilities. What do you think?
More likely is 0.
I cannot see them having
realistic.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really? I feel like I cannot see one of those guys not winning.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I feel like it's more likely they get 4. Now I don't think 4 is very likely. So if I had to put percentages on 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, obviously it's gonna go like this, right? And there's gonna be the bulk of it probably at 1 or 2 national champions.
Sure.
But golly, if Mark and Vincenzo and Nick Lee, of all those guys, don't win, oof, that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess you're right.
There's no way they don't win one.
Yeah,
at least one.
I mean, it's possible if Pletcher, gets the first couple takedowns, is able to shut him down. Maybe. We've seen Marinelli beat Chenzo and we've seen Kemmerer beat Hall, but man, it just feels like all 3 of those things happening. Wow, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Ben, do you know what the gap is down to? The team score gap according to our rankings?
I'm gonna go look. It's got to.
What would you guess?
Think. Well, yeah. I will lost points at 84. They're not getting anything there now. Let's see. They maintained it 25. 33 is probably down a couple points. 41's probably right in the middle there somewhere. Same. 49, same, or down a couple. Let's say 55.
Higher.
Really?
Yeah.
So it didn't go down much then, because it was at what, 68 at the peak?
I think it went down a couple points. Yeah, it's 66.5 right now.
Oh God.
I think last week was like 69.
Nice.
Yeah. So the peak was 69.
Nice.
I'm not sure what the peak was. I think last week was.
Okay.
Yeah, the peak was in the 70s.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, it was in the 70s.
But here's the thing, Ben. Murin, like, not that Spade was, like, looking for a reason to pull him down, but, like, he hadn't wrestled in a while, and if he didn't wrestle or lost this one, he'd have a lot of reason to move down. But then he beats Mitch McKee, a guy who he had lost twice to last year, didn't have the brace on. And then Neville's falls, which I don't know how much that impacted it because he wasn't getting All-American points anyway, but Neville's falls.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anyone else fall. I mean, that was I guess they had the one bad match for them was Caleb Young went to overtime with Ryan Thomas, which I think no one really expected that to happen, I guess you'd say. And Caleb Young's still a guy I feel like, man, if somehow he got beat by, everybody's throw two names right, BC LaPrade and Jarrett JQs, I'm not like, oh my God, I never could imagine that happening. It's like I could see scenarios when Caleb Young takes as high as third, and I could see where he does All-American too.
Let's go ahead and jump to that duel.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about it. Iowa kind of puts it on Minnesota, but there were notable results. Austin DeSanto is back.
I tweeted. People actually, they appreciated my tweet this time, not like the last DeSanto tweet I made.
You're being too mean to Austin DeSanto.
Bull crap, I'm being too mean.
No, we don't know what his knee injury is.
Listen. The man, in the RBY match, he was coming like a bat out of hell, even after the initial knee injury. The second time he gets locked in cradle, he taps out, okay? He says, I am out of here. I do not want any part of this. That cradle had no effect on his knee. There was no torque on the inside part of his knee during that cradle, okay? He wants out of that match. He got out of that match. Less than 2 weeks later, he's full go. Like, I called it when it happened. I said it's a very minor knee injury. He's going to be back really quickly. I said that. He was 2 weeks. Think about 2 weeks full speed.
We don't know he's full go. He was the boot drive.
Was he limping?
He was wearing a brace.
Was he limping at all, or did he wrestle slower? Because it sure didn't look like it to me.
I don't think he looked the best we've ever seen him, though, either, though.
Well, Ben, you also know that, like, oftentimes you look worse, like, when you're not in competition than you do in competition. Like, when you're in competition, adrenaline's firing, and you just kind of go, and then after everything's over, you limp and stuff. So,
I mean,
listen. He had a very minor knee injury. He's fine. He acted like a baby. You know what he should do? The best course of action would be saying, listen, guys, I acted like a baby. I overreacted. It happens. I'm sorry for my actions. And let's just move on. And I would say, okay, you're right. Let's move on. Let's go.
Well, I think you're right. He did overreact to it. And Tom Brands even said that after the duel. I honestly think it scared him. And he didn't know what was going on. And maybe the second time he did freak out a little bit. But I think
he should just say that. It's fine.
The first injury was legit, but we also don't know the severity of it. We watched Yanni go on and win an NCAA title on a torn ACL. We watched Jason Nolf come back after what looked like a pretty scary knee injury not too long ago on a brace and look like almost bonus his way to an NCAA title in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he looked like crap in that NCAA tournament. I mean, he was able to still kill everyone, which was so impressive, but he did not look like regular Jason Nolf.
You're right. But I guess the fact that he'd still bonus
Yanni is a good point. Yanni is a good argument right there because that dude tore his ACL and somehow I don't know how he wrestled through it, but he did. That's your best argument at the tournament. That is like crazy to think about. That's really crazy.
He texts Boo Dryden, who was just looking for a throw the entire match, which I guess it's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah.
If you know you don't have anything for him defense wise, then Murin comes back. I thought it was interesting. Murin said after the duel he didn't know he was going until intermission. Brands just kind of looked at him and was like, "Do you want to go?" He's like, "Heck yeah!" And he goes out and beats Mitch McKee.
Yeah, that was an impressive win by him. Mitch McKee was close to that head pinch in the overtime, but yeah, Max Murin looks really good. I mean, I don't feel as though he can challenge Pletcher or Lee, but he's right in that conversation for third place for sure.
Yeah, and then you picked this upset at 149. It didn't happen though.
But I guess what I will say is Brayton Lee did not fall victim to the Carver crowd. I mean, he was bringing the heat on him in the third period. If that is flipped, if Lee is Iowa and Lugo is Minnesota, I think there's a decent chance there's 2 stall calls in the third period. Now I don't think there should have been, but let's not imagine that the refs are not influenced by the crowd, because they definitely are. The one that was egregious, sorry, I got ADHD, I can't help it. The one that was so egregious, I watched Sammy Sasso push for clearing out of bounds like 6 times in a row, okay? And Verclair didn't try all that hard to stay in bounds, and there was 0 stall calls. And then did you see the one where Cassiope pushed Gable? And Gable tried so hard to stay in bounds. I mean, it was like an outstanding effort to stay in bounds. And the ref hit him for stalling. I'm like, oh my.
Yes, and he literally just gotten an escape on the edge of the mat.
Yeah.
That was egregious.
That was terrible. You're right. He got an
terrible
escape literally like half in, half out, and then Cassiope just pushes him out of bounds, and they hit him for stalling. That was terrible. You're right.
That was terrible. So if that's the other way, so Brayton Lee, he's, and I kind of brought this up, he's scoring so much off reattacks, and he gets the reattacks because he hand fights so hard, but he needs to find a way to open up his own off. And this is kind of like what you guys talked about earlier, these guys being scouted more. Both Brayton Lee and Sammy Sasso rely so heavily on their underhooks to get to their offense, and when they can't get there, they struggle. And underhook is probably one of the easiest place to shut people down when you don't, if they're really good game plan, they're disciplined to keep their elbows in and not give people that. It's a really easy position to shut down. I think we're seeing that with both Brayton Lee and Sammy Sasso.
How about this, Ben?
What's up?
They're going to be the 2-3 seed. Lugo's going to be the 2. Brayton's going to be the 3. So we'll get the rematch Saturday night, March 7th in Minneapolis. So Brayton will get the home crowd.
In Minneapolis.
I'm sorry. NCAA's, they'll be in Minneapolis. It'll be in Rutgers. It'll be a neutral crowd. I'm thinking last year. Thank you, Bracky. Anyway, rolling along. Who you got?
Man, I feel like it's going to look the exact same way. If Lugo can get and so Lugo got to his underhook score, right? Am I right on that, or am I wrong? I'm blanking on how Lugo got the takedown.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying, did he get takedown? Yeah, he got takedown. I'll have to pull it up to remember exactly what he did.
So anyways, I'm blanking. So yeah, if Lugo can shut down Brayton Lee where Brayton can't get through his underhook, he's gonna have a hard time winning. But I'm sure Brayton's gonna be coming hard in the third period too, where it's gonna be really competitive, 3-2 type, 4-3 type match like it was on Friday night.
But you're leading Lugo in the rematch.
Yeah, there's nothing really that I'm like, oh, he got lucky, or there was just like he was just a little bit better. He got the one takedown. I think it's gonna be a really, really tight match the next time also.
Okay. Let's jump to 180. I think we kind of hit on Young having the close match. Marinelli, Kimmer dominant. And then at 184, they go with Cash Wilkie again.
I'm perplexed by that. Are you guys perplexed by this too?
Well, I think we got a little bit more clarity after the duel. Tom said that Abe will be back next week.
Okay.
So that makes
Oklahoma
me think
State?
that makes me think that he was banged up. So it will be Abe Assad, barring any kind of injury going into the postseason. So that does clear some things up, because I was starting to question whether they were going to wrestle Abe and go with Wilkie. Now, it probably would have made their decision a lot tougher if Wilkie had beat Webster.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, the Lugo takedown post attacked Brayton's left leg, kind of like knee pull, and then got it up a little bit, and then went trip with Lugo left leg tripped Brayton's leg. And it was like 8 or 9 second finish. It was pretty solid leg attack.
Yeah. So I was wrong on the underhook. Yeah. I mean, I think next time I'll say the same. I think next time's gonna be kind of similar as to that one was.
Anyway, back to 184.
No, I think the only real storyline here is who they would go with in the postseason and what was going on with Assad, and I think we have that kind of answered now.
Where's Assad gonna be seated at the Big Tens? Because he's missed a whole bunch of matches now.
Yeah, I haven't done 184 yet.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, so Brooks will be the one because he has just the one loss and everybody else has multiple losses. So Assad is going to be somewhere probably like 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, it feels as though there's a whole between Assad and Caffey and Jordan and Venz and Broadnagle, it feels like a bunch of these guys have all beat each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Caffey, so he's won. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Coffey's
5,
hot.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's won 9 or 10 in a row. So he should probably end up being the 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good wins lately. So then, who's opposite him then? Is it Venz or is it? It's probably Assad at the 3, right? Not Venz or Jordan.
Yeah, because Assad beat Venz. So yeah, because his losses are to Brooks and Caffey. So it very well could be Brooks 1, Caffey 2, Assad 3,
Venz Jordan,
Venz and Rocky 4, 5.
And then Janzer and Broadnagle 6, 7 probably.
Yeah, Sebastian's gonna be the hard one. I'd have to look at him, but yeah, kind of. I mean, again, I'm gonna end up doing it this week, like tonight or tomorrow. But that's kind of how it's looking right now.
Nice.
And then Warner Majors Hunter Ritter. He looked good though. He looked really good.
Yeah, he looked good.
And then the biggest match of the night, Gable Stevenson 7-5 over Tony Cassiope.
You guys all owe me money.
Yeah, you're right. We do.
I said odds at 4.5. It was only a 2-pointer.
It was. And it feels like it was only a 2-pointer because Gable wanted it to be a 2-pointer.
Well, I mean, so Gable, I watched the Paris Hilger match. I don't know if we're talking about that, but that was an awesome match.
Yeah.
For heavyweights, but Mason Paris attacks more. Cassiope, I don't believe he did not do any penetrations where he hit his knee. I think he did a couple high singles in that match, and that's Gable loves it when people shoot because his reattacks and his go behinds are so good. And so I always feel like he's gonna have a tough time against Cassiope, where Gable doesn't take a lot of his own risks. And so, yeah, his 3 takedowns did look great, but he wants people to shoot on him because he's so good at those go-behinds and reattacks.
You're right. He is really good, but also every time he shot, he scored.
Yes. 100%.
Plus, if he doesn't do the club early, which Bracky's got
how'd you feel about that, Nomad?
I agree. I'm going to let Bracky talk about it because I basically 100% agree with him.
Well, It was probably the right call. I think if they had been standing in there hand fighting, and then Gable came with that, he probably doesn't get called. But the fact that they weren't weren't tied up, engaged at that time, and it just kind of came out of nowhere, then it's probably, and then the crowd went crazy and they're like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
The crowd influences. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was right level. I always tell guys, I'm gonna have to back up to show this.
Okay.
Don't swing, right? Don't swing this way. More come at it, right? Come an inside karate chop right at the neck.
Gilman does that really well.
Yes. And also, Ben, he gave an escape with 1 or 2 seconds left in the period. So if he just rides him out there for another 4 or 5 seconds, then you take away that.
Cassiope's pretty hard to ride though. I don't ever feel like Gable's gonna ride him for 30 or 40 seconds. I still think it's in the cards.
That showed. I think the most he rode him for was 10 seconds. But the other point I want to make is in the final 15 seconds of the match, Tony Cassiope was losing by 2 points. That's a takedown. He did not make an attempt. He just headbutted Gable 3 times.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Just straight headbutts, and the ref didn't do a single thing. And kudos to Gable for just literally laughing it off. But one of them was even after the buzzer. That's not cool. We saw Thomas Pinola get DQ'd for it. And I don't know how you can call a hard club on somebody and then just let the other guy headbutt him for 15 seconds.
Yeah. What if that was flip-flopped? What if
they absolutely would have called it?
Oh my God, they so would have called it, right? The crowd would have been going insane.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And then another thing I thought was really funny is, as you said, Cassiope did not touch a knee. He kind of reached for a couple high singles.
Yep.
And with right before Gable blew through him on that last double, Gable literally just circled back to the middle, and the crowd started booing, asking for stall calls, and then 5 seconds later, immediately blew.
So ridiculous, right?
Yes, so ridiculous.
I mean, that was the Iowa team now is significantly more offensive, but that was my my whole beef with Iowa for damn near a decade was they didn't ever shoot, but their crowd would just yell for stalling like a bunch of dumb farmers or something.
And
I'm just trying to offend people now.
for some reason, we just got this comment on Facebook, and I saw it after the match too. It was like Gable just wants to coast. He doesn't want to. He acts like he doesn't want to be there.
Oh my goodness!
81% of his wins, 9 of 11 of his wins this year, are by bonus points. He beat Hilger 10-5 when Mason Perez only beat him 3-1, and he scored 3 times on Anthony Cassiope. You don't know what you just don't like the guy. Just admit it. You don't like the guy, and that's fine.
Yes.
You don't have to, but don't. You're literally lying.
Call them out, Brecky. They're lying. They're full of crap.
Where's it at? Neil Saunders takes energy to ride. Gable wants to coast.
Knucklehead.
This
other knucklehead, Tyler German, he won't shut up. He's annoying. He needs to stop posting on the Facebook chat.
Hey, let's get to questions from friends because we got some. We got 8 minutes.
Oh, hold on. Before we get to questions
let's just harass these Facebook trolls some more.
They'll get really pissed. It would be funny though. Let's see. Oh, Ben, you need an answer for this. Ben Darmstadt. Lost to 12-12 Brandon Whitman, the guy who is unquestionably the second best guy at 197, going to make the finals opposite Colin Moore.
I take it back. I mean, okay, there's a chance he's still going to make the finals against Colin Moore.
There is.
I take back that he's the second. I just watched a man kick Patrick Brooke's butt, and then I have to watch that match against Brandon Whitman. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't have an answer. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was a dumb statement.
Thank you.
That was easy.
We can get to Iowa State, you and I, and Sarah Pilato tomorrow. We got a lot of good cues from Fs. Starting with Chris Foley. As a coach, would you rather have 10 AAs with 0 finalists or 1 champ? For me, that's pretty easy.
Easy, 10 AAs.
Yeah. Yep. It's something that's only been done once. And if you have 10 AAs, you're likely going to have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people have had 1 champ. Only one guy's had 10 AAs.
Yes, that's easy one.
Thoughts on NCAA's and US Bank Stadium?
I'm nervous. I think it could be totally tremendous, or I think it could be awful. The one thought I heard was that they're gonna spread the mats out evenly over the whole football field, and I just think that's gonna make for really difficult spectating. I thought initially they would do something like Iowa did when they wrestled Oklahoma State, where they kind of close off like it's a U, and then they close it off with some portable stands, and then the mats are all in there, which it could probably seat 40 to 50. I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. Could be tremendous. Could be terrible.
They did a feature on it that they played in between intermission of Minnesota, Penn State, and I believe it's on YouTube, on Big Ten Network's YouTube. You can go find. But it looks like all the mats will be elevated up on a stage, but then they will be spread out. Like they're not going to be. There's probably like 10, 15 yards between them. And there's 3 on one side and 3 on the other is what the layout looked like.
If they're going to do that, can we do something that wrestling has needed to do for years, which is put just 10 feet of extra padding around the mats so nothing stupid happens?
No, man. I thought you were going to say something else. What if they made the mats like 10 feet bigger? How fantastic would that be?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm fine with that. Ben, did you ever see Iowa's old,
I got pushed off a stage, Nomad. I felt the pain.
You ran off the stage.
I didn't want to give him. If I turned in, I was going to get blasted. So that was off. That was out of the cards, right? I wasn't gonna. If I turned it all, he was going to freaking pick me up, and not good things were going to happen there. So
you act like
I had no other option
or something.
So I had no other option to, I was eyeing up my landing like the airplane coming in the runway there. I was eyeing up my landing and going to make it a safe landing because I was not going to get turned in and get freaking flipped up like that. That was not going to happen. So yes, I agree with you. More padding, bigger stages.
Yeah. AC _ always cool. Slick handle. Who is more likely to make an Olympic team this year, Seth Gross or Zahid Valencia?
Seth, because David's so good, right? That's the answer.
There's not a.
I will say, David. When Zahid has wrestled David, it has been more even on the feet than I think people would think it would be.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm picking David.
Yeah.
Just Zahita's done better than I think people would expect.
Yeah, I think Zahid will keep it competitive, but I can't really foresee him beating David. I think that's a stretch, and so I think Seth can kind of go with all those guys. I'm not sure that he's going to win yet, but I think he could be really competitive with all of those wrestlers at 57 kg.
Yeah.
So Seth.
Nomad, this one I'll let you answer. Awesome's Razor. Do wrestlers need to compete in a certain number of matches to be at a weight for postseason? It seems rare to see someone change weight classes for the postseason versus high school, where it is more rule than the exception.
We got our answer to this last year. Joe Smith, his only matches at, 165, right?
Yeah.
His only matches at 165 were Big 12s and NCAAs. So, no, you do not have to wrestle a certain number of matches to be at a weight for the postseason. What there are is a couple things as far as seeding and allocation criteria. It's 8 matches to be... It's 8 matches to have a win percentage. It's 5 matches to be in the coaches ranking, and also you have to have wrestled at least once in the past month. And then it's 15 matches for RPI. So there are minimum match numbers for those things for allocation and seeding purposes. But as far as like wrestling a certain number of matches to be in the postseason, no, you could show up and be like, all right, I'm the starter for Iowa 149 for the postseason, and just wrestle Big Tens and NCAAs.
All right. M. Monroe, in a duel between Wisconsin and Missouri, who does Ben root for?
Oh, boo. I was hoping you would ask this one.
I got to ask
Oh, man. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, probably Wisconsin, but I would feel really guilty about it also. You know, I know all the guys on Wisconsin's team, so I have relationships with all of them. So, you know, I cheer for them individually also. And Missouri, you know, I have a relationship with some of the guys on the team, but not all of them. So, you know, I'm going to cheer for Wisconsin, but, you know, that would make me really sad because obviously I do love my alma mater, Missouri.
Okay. Talking about kind of that rule we talked about with the Gable match, when will they get rid of stalling for pushing somebody out of bounds? The aggressor should never get a stalling call, so it should either be an action call or stalling on the guy backing out.
Oh, I hate that rule.
I kind of agree with it. I don't ever feel like the guy pushing the guy out should get called for stalling. Because one of the, I mean, I had to make this argument to a couple high schoolers, because you know in high school they say let them back in,
right?
Which it's so, you're right, it's so dumb. But a lot of people's offense is predicated off pressure, right? So I push into you, you push back, then I can hit a single leg or a duck under, right? I push, you push, my offense comes off your push, right? So if I push and you just incessantly back up, then I can't get my offense going because you're not giving me the pressure back I need, right? And the rules of wrestling prohibit you from moving straight backwards. So therefore, if I push, I should get pressure back. And so, you know, I hate it when high school referees say, let him in, let him in, let him in. It's like, no, the guy needs to push back because you don't know what my guy's offense is predicated on. If my guy's offense is predicated on me pushing and you pushing back, which is a good strategy, you know, I push, you push back, I snap, right? There's a lot of things that happen on pressure. It's dumb. You should never get penalized for that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Any of you guys see ones you really want to answer?
Wait, can I actually ask, I want to say one thing that is, this goes with the stupid Iowa crowd that yells stalling when it's definitely not. The number one thing that drives me crazy, and this happened twice in the Iowa Penn State duel, but it's kind of just a bad rule all around. So we are in the referee's position. There's a guy on bottom. He is out of bounds. The top guy has only his foot in bounds. Okay, you guys visualizing where I'm at?
Yeah.
Okay. The bottom guy then crawls out of bounds, and everyone boos him, and they think he called for stalling. Okay, listen. The bottom guy, if he does anything good whatsoever, the top guy's just going to pull his foot out of bounds, right? So the bottom guy shouldn't even try to do anything good because the second he does something good, the top guy pulls his foot out of bounds. They're out of bounds. Restart in the middle. So the bottom guy should, in fact, his only move at that point in time, his only reasonable move is to actually crawl off the mat. Yeah. You should not get called for stalling or booed at that point.
Yeah, that's the same thing I've said with like the peeling hand roll and freestyle, where the correct wrestling reaction should never be penalized.
Yes. 100%.
Like fleeing the mat is not a wrestling action. Like literally running out of bounds, literally diving out, like that's not that's not an action. But when the thing is like the proper wrestling, you know, idea or technique, that should not be penalized. I don't know if there's anything I want to answer right now. I do think I would like maybe if we could bring it back tomorrow. Do you think Braxton Amos can compete for a natty freshman year? I want to look at who's coming back for 197, and then if I think that it makes more sense for them to redshirt him, and then I also want to do the one where the all-time. Somebody asked about the all-time 2010 to 2019, or not all-time, but the 2010 to 2019 team, and I want us to put parameters
Mount
on
Rushmore,
that.
right?
Yeah, and I want us to put parameters on that if it's like career or just like peak, right? The goat boat conversation from last week. I'd like to answer that tomorrow with like a little more parameters and thought behind it.
Awesome. Yeah, let's circle back tomorrow. I love it.
All right, LJ, you can play that music. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to 460 episodes of FloWrestling Radio Live. Will you be back tomorrow?
No, so I decided the way we're doing is I came on today. Bray is going to be on tomorrow because I'm doing Who's Number One on the show tomorrow with Spay. So give Bray some airtime, and then Thursday I'm leaving for national prep. So we're going to need either Bray or Spay or Bader to come on Thursday.
Okay, we'll get it figured out. But me and Ben will be here, and we'll see you bright and early at 8:15 Central. See ya.
Peace.